Okay, let's talk about something that I think stops a lot of people in their tracks. It's that one big fear about CPR. What if I break their ribs? We're going to dive right into that because it's a really important question.
So this is the big one, right? The question that's probably in the back of your mind. You're in a high-stakes situation, you're trying to help, and all you can think is, am I going to hurt this person? Can I actually break their ribs doing this? And look, that's a totally normal fear. It's a big deal, and you deserve a straight answer.
All right, let's just cut to the chase and talk about the reality of CPR. What actually happens?
The short answer, yes, absolutely. There's really no way to sugarcoat this. When you perform CPR, it is very, very common to break ribs. But, and this is a huge but, understanding why that happens is what's going to help you get past that fear.
In fact, it's not just rib fractures. You're looking at potential fractures to the sternum, the breastbone, plus bruising on the chest wall and even some internal organ bruising. And I know that sounds awful, but here's the key thing to remember. These are not signs that you're messing up. They're actually known side effects of doing CPR the right way.
Okay, so that probably leads you to the next big question. Why? Why does this happen? Well, it's not because you're doing it wrong. It really just comes down to, some pretty straightforward, kind of brutal physics.
Let's just think for a second about what CPR actually is. You're trying to manually pump someone's heart. Their heart has stopped working, so you have to become the pump. You're literally trying to squeeze the heart between their breastbone and their spine to force blood up to the brain.
And to do that effectively, for an adult, you need to push down at least 2 inches. 2 inches. Take a look at your thumb. For many people, that's about the length of it. That's how deep you have to press into someone's chest. That requires a serious amount of force. And of course, what's in the way? The rib cage. It's designed to be a protective barrier for the heart, and it does a really good job. So to get past that barrier and push down 2 whole inches, you have to use a lot of direct force. So you can see how an injury isn't just, a possibility, it's almost an expected part of the process, just based on our anatomy.
So, okay, we get why it happens. Now we get to the most important part of this whole discussion, the ultimate trade-off. This is the choice you're faced with in that moment. Let's lay it out plain and simple. On one side, you've got broken ribs. Yeah, it's a painful injury, it's serious, but it's an injury that can heal. On the other side, the alternative is not performing CPR, and that means irreversible brain damage starts in just a few minutes, followed by certain death. When you look at it like that, the choice becomes crystal clear, doesn't it? I once heard an ER doctor put it in the simplest, most powerful way possible. They said, a patient can recover from a broken rib, they cannot recover from death. And really, that just says it all. It cuts right through all the what-ifs and the fears.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. What's the big takeaway here for you? If you're ever in that situation, what's the one thing you need to remember? It's simple. Don't hesitate. We really need to flip the script in our heads about this. If you're doing compressions and you hear or feel a pop or a crack, that's not your cue to panic and stop. In fact, it's often a sign that you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. It means you're pushing hard enough and deep enough to give that person a real chance. An injury isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of effective, life-saving CPR. So we're going to end right back where we started with that same question. Knowing what you know now, would you still hesitate? Look, the fear might not disappear completely, and that's okay. But hopefully, you now understand that a broken rib is a small, acceptable price to pay for giving someone a chance to live. Because the real harm, the only real failure in that situation, is doing nothing at all.